Halloween
Forever.
Good evening, Steven.
Hello, Brian.
How's it going? How's it? Ooh, it's spooky, Steve.
It's still
again.
spooky for one more week. I can do Spooky Steve.
Last week of spooky. Hey, Spooky Steve, I got one for you.
Yes,
Ready?
go, Brian, with your joke.
Okay, ready? So, there's these three guys. They're trying to get into a club on Halloween night, right? Walk up to the door. Bouncer says, can't come in unless you're wearing costumes. Three guys are like, shit, I knew we should have dressed up. All right. So they go in the alleyway. They start digging through the trash, trying to find something to use as a last minute impromptu Halloween costume. First guy finds a bucket or a can of red paint, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just says, fucking, I'm painting my whole body red, right? He walks up to the bouncer. Bouncer says, what are you supposed to be? He says, I'm anger, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Says, all right, fine, go ahead. Next guy goes digging in the same trash can, finds a can of blue paint, does the same thing, walks up. Okay, what are you supposed to be? Well, obviously, I'm sadness.
Sure.
Guy says, all right, fine, good enough. Lets him in. Third guy goes back to the trash can. No more paint. The only thing left in the trash can is a mushy old half-rotten pear. So he looks at it. There's nothing else he can find. He sticks his dick in the pear. Walks up to the bouncer. Bouncer's like, Jesus Christ, dude, what are you supposed to be? He said, can't you figure it out? I'm fucking despair.
Hey, I'll fucking despair over here.
Welcome, boils and ghouls, to our last and most spookiest fun-size mini-sode of Halloween is Forever. I'm Brian.
And I'm Spooky Steve, and I'm fucking despair over here.
I'm fucking despair over here. I was going to say it like that, but, I really needed to hammer the wordplay home. Guys, it is, in fact, the last Monday before the spookiest night of the year, which is, of course, Halloween coming up this week. So Steve and I were talking about, what are we going to do? We do our Halloween showdown episode, our Wheel-O-Ween early in the month, first Monday of the month, which is always a big show. And then we do a lot of spooky things throughout the month of October. Of course, we do some spooky content every Monday year round, but what would be something a little different, a little out of the ordinary? And Steve came up with a little bit of a fun size idea where we talk about fun size movies that may or may not have something to do with the holiday of Halloween. So we're going to watch. We're going to discuss a whole bunch of short films ranging from, what do you say, Steve, about 3 minutes, probably at the shortest, up to maybe 15 or 20 at the longest.
About 3 minutes to 15 minutes. I just went around and I went trick-or-treating.
Wait, you went around? You went trick-or-treating?
I went trick-or-treating to all our friends. And I said, hey, friends, do you have any short films that you would like to share? And then I got a whole bunch. And so now I come back with the candy bag full of short films for us to share with our audience.
Yeah, we sure did. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully these are some ones, some of which at least that you've never seen, and will be a fun little treat in your trick-or-treat bag this week as you hopefully listen to this episode leading up to the big day. But before we do all that, guys, we got a couple of things we got to do at the top of the show. As always, Spooky Steven, are you slurping on anything over there this evening that might be spooky?
I got pumpkin beer.
Ooh, nice.
Yes. This one, it's one I haven't had in a long time. I still haven't even taken a sip of it yet. But it's from an old brewery. It's a brewery I love, especially from back in the day. I think they might be the first brewery I had a barrel-aged bourbon stout from. But this is from Anderson Valley, and this is their Fall Horn and Pumpkin Ale.
Classic of the genre. Anderson Valley, been around for a long time, holding it down over there in California. That's a beer I haven't had in a while, but boy, I should seek it out because it was always a tasty one. Always a tasty one. How's it treat? It looks a little darker than I remember.
Yeah, like I said, I don't remember the last time I had this one. It's really dark. It's spicy, but it definitely tastes more just as like a dark ale. Mm-hmm. Like it has a good pumpkin nose to it and everything. But yeah, it's just kind of a dark.
Would you call the base beer like a brown ale or?
No, I think I'm thinking we're
deep
just on
amberish ale.
Yeah, we're on a deep amber. I'm trying to see if they had, and they're just talking about their fucking solar waste, and that's not it.
that you can't taste solar waste. What about got a little caramelized type of notes in there? I would expect.
Yeah,
a little bit of burnt sugar situation.
Yeah, especially on the back end. It's definitely that caramelized burnt sugar. Up front, it's more of the just normal fall spices, and it's like the fall spices on the nose, but it's not like overly sweet in a like a pumpkin way or anything like that.
Sure. Not desserty. Yeah, that was kind of why I was digging on the Shipyard Pumpkinhead, which I hadn't had in a while, although quite a bit paler in malt character. But I'm going a different direction tonight, Steve, for one primary reason. I had a beer that I thought I had 2 of left, and I drank it last night, and I realized it was the last one.
Oh, no.
And that was what I was going to drink. So I went in a different direction, but equally as seasonal. I am drinking on, and you can't see it because it's in this nice mug, but I am drinking on a little hot apple cider. Mm-hmm. With a little apple brandy in it. And by a little, I mean a lot of apple brandy. And I did not realize how much I put into it till I opened my little Yeti mug here and took a slurp. And I was like, hachi-ya-ya. There's a lot of apple brandy in there. And I only spring for the finest apple brandy. This was left over from the Halloween party where we, put a big crock pot of hot apple cider, cinnamon sticks, and then we'll put some brandy, some bourbon, and some salted caramel vodka and things like that. People mix it with the cider. I went and got myself only the finest E&J apple brandy, and it is sweet. Apple brandy, because I usually the only thing I use apple brandy for is making fruitcake,
right?
Around Christmas time.
Yeah.
And I say, you know what? Let's do that. Let's drink that up a little bit. And between the obviously cider is sweet and the apple brandy, this is giving me straight up diabetes.
Hell yeah.
But it tastes pretty good, and I ain't mad at it. So, and I threw a little cinnamon stick in there for good measure. So,
teeth feel fuzzy.
I'm feeling seasonal. I got the Sugarfoot, and I'm ready to jump into some spooky short films. But before we do that, remember, guys, next Monday, the first Monday of November, we've got our Mall Madness Showdown kicking off the holiday shopping season in style, where we are going to have our first showdown of the month. And you guys might be, our first episode of the month is, of course, our showdown. You guys might be going, what the fuck are you talking about? What's a showdown episode? Let me tell all yins noobs out there who might be joining us because it's spooky season. You went onto your Podcatcher app and you typed in Halloween and this came up. Here's how it works. All year long, 52 weeks a year, we give you spooky, ooky content here on the internet. But the first Monday of every month, we do what's called a showdown episode. That is where me, Steve, and either our guest or our collective Patreon community pick a movie that's associated with a particular topic. You might be saying, where's that topic come from, Brian? I say, cool, you're fucking jets. You're new around here. Here's how it works. We have a big old spinning wheel with about a bajillion topics on it. We spin that thing 3 times. We take those topics, throw them out there on social medias and on our Discord channel for everyone to vote on which one they want to do. It could be a subgenre. It could be a particular performer. This month for November, we had a choice between Mall Madness, feature-length anime films, or non-Jason Kane Hodder films. So you get a vibe, a little flavor of the types of topics that we do, but we got a bajillion of them. our social media friends and Patreon friends spoke. They chose Mall Madness, which we thought was very appropriate for November. Now me, Steve, and in this instance, we were going to have a guest. The guest, unfortunately, had to back out. So we are going to turn to our Patreon community once again, which is always fun. But for that reason, we don't have our movies picked quite yet. So we will, we could probably announce that on the social medias this week for those of you who like to watch them ahead of time, right? So keep a lookout. If you want to follow us and you don't already, go to @HalloweenIsForever on all the social medias. You can send us one of them old-fashioned emails too if you got a suggestion for a Mall Madness movie, or maybe just a movie that you like, that you want us to talk about on a minisode. You can send us one of them emails at HalloweenIsForeverPod@gmail.com. And last but certainly not least, we love it if you'd go give us a little review on your podcatcher app of choice. Go to the show page, review it, and then you got to write a little thing that says like, hey, these guys, all right, or whatever. If you do that and you send me a DM on Instagram and say, hey, I reviewed you on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever, I will send you a little care package with some spooky ooky shit in it. Maybe some stickers. Maybe you'll get a little plastic spider ring. Maybe you'll get a human tooth. You'll get something, though, in the mail if you do that. And obviously, you have to feel comfortable enough to provide me your address, which I do not suggest, but that is on you. Okay. Stephen, before we get into these spooky short films, we should also tell the boils and ghouls at home all the shit we got going over on the Patreon, because we just recorded a new Patreon episode. Well, a couple 2-3 nights ago.
Yeah.
And it sucked. The episode
doesn't suck.
Watching the movie that Steve made me watch was fucking unbearable.
Yes.
I will say that.
So you go on to patreon.com/HalloweenIsForever. You log on. You give us $5 little dollary dues. Just a little 5 spot. Little 5 spot. That much.
Yeah. Don't be cheap. Don't be cheap.
Don't worry about it. And you get a whole bunch of things. Right now, we're in the middle of October, which means I, every day, have a new write-up for a new horror movie or a comic book or TV show or video game. That's part of our 31 Days of Horror Recos. We're deep into it now. I mean, if you sign up now, you get 27 days already in your pocket. Mm-hmm. But then you also get the 2 previous years, which is 62 more days of just recos in your pocket. Days. So many days.
So many hot days.
It's so much writing too. Like every year I've noticed I'm actually writing more this year than I did last year. And last year was about 20,000 words, or the equivalent of a fucking new screenplay that I could have been writing. But no, I wrote this instead.
This is Steven's avoidance. Do you like words? Do you like when those words are arranged in a specific order? You're going to get a whole shitload of them if you subscribe. But that's not all, right?
That's not all. On top of all that, you get a monthly exclusive podcast. And this month, we did our 90s is Forever series. We're coming to a close on that series. And because of that, I'm just dumping the heavy shit all over Brian. And
Jesus,
we watched one of the worst films from the 90s. It's
one of the worst films from any decade in history of motion picture.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah.
Honestly, I stick with it. With it. This is unwatchable.
You would be hard pressed to find something worse in this film, because it is so boring and unfunny and just repellent and disrespectful to the memory of a lot of people who are dead.
I almost was a memory. I almost became a memory during this movie. I almost just straight off myself about 40 times.
But we watched the infamous film from 1998 starring one Mr. Carrot Top, chairman of the board.
Ugh. Do you hate surfing as much as I do? Well, do you want to hate it more? Would you like to insert a little Carrot Top? Because that's how you're going to hate surfing even more. Holy shit, this movie is fucking atrocious. And we've watched some dog shit on this series. But yes, we are wrapping up 90s is Forever for our Patreon exclusive podcast series here. We only got, 2 more months, Steve, after this one? And then the rains come back to old Bry. And that's when I'm really going to lay the fucking hammer down on Steve, because he's been, for the most part, okay. And then just decided to be unkind to me on the last one. So, and then also I should add, you'll gain access immediately to 2 other 10 episode Patreon exclusive podcast series, many of which are quite long. We watched, Steve first made me watch all the Fast and the Furious movies. Good fucking Christ, they're terrible. Then I made Steve watch 10 months of weird right-wing Christian propaganda horror movies. They were fucking terrible. And now Steve's making me watch all these weird 90s movies with comedy movies with horror ties to them. So if you like all that, go over and give us your $5. Just give us your money, and then you get all this stuff. And also you get to join us here as we record live in the Discord, interact with us and stuff, as we have some of our friends here right now doing that very same thing. Okay. Anything else before we jump into these short little spookies?
Nope. We can jump into whatever films we want to talk about. We got a whole list of them. Like I said, a lot of them came from just either podcasts or other guests that we've had on in the past, and some of them are films that were directed by those guests, and some of them are just straight up suggestions. So, we can go wherever direction you want to go, Brian.
All right, let's do this. Let me bring up my notes here, and let's figure out one that I think would be a nice little appetizer, if you will. Let's talk about who suggested the Ballerina. Now, not a Halloween specific one, but I really, really like this one. Yeah, not like it does anything insanely new, but I just thought it was really, really well executed. Who suggested that one for us?
Great.
Is that Hallow Ian?
No. So this is actually coming from a new friend that you haven't met yet, but if you're listening right now on Monday, as this episode is released, I was also a guest on the Force 5 podcast. And so the Force 5 podcast is hosted by Jason Kleberg out of, I believe he's out of California. I know he's on the West Coast for sure, but his show's bi-monthly, and he puts out, like, every episode is just doing like a top 10 or a top 5 list of a certain category. So like top 5, single location films, top 5 exploitation films. He kind of covers all of the other films, but for October, obviously he does horror content. And so he just had like a general list of suggestions that he does every year. And he invited me on, and we, just went through different categories. One of them, though, at the very end was Wild Card. And don't give me Wild Card, because what I suggested was one of our most infamous punishment films.
Oh, no, you did it to him.
Yeah, I did it to him and his audience, and said, I suggested the film Goodbye without...
Oh, okay. I thought maybe, that's pretty bad too. Yeah. I thought you made him watch Fish Piss.
No. I didn't make him watch Fish Piss, but I did suggest Goodbye as a film for
a tough one.
Him and his audience to discover on their own. But I gave him some other good suggestions, like Ghost Watch and Life Force.
Of what it Did you give him Life? Okay, that makes up for it a little bit.
Yeah.
If you watch a double feature back to back with Life Force, and they're going to be like, wow, this guy's got some great taste. This is a fantastic underappreciated movie. And then you watch Goodbye after that. That's a real shoot.
Oh yeah.
And I like that.
Oh yeah. Like I even, mentioned it during the episode that, hey, I'm about to wipe out all the goodwill I just provided to your audience.
Yeah.
But I didn't tell them what it's about. I didn't tell them how disgusting it gets. Just like, if you watch this film, you're gonna turn on me, and I don't care, because that's how we roll on my show.
Yeah, we're mean and we're not nice. And a reminder, guys, for anybody who's new to the podcast, we get a lot of new listeners this time of year. We are, and I don't want to speak for everybody, but I personally am out to kill God. I've talked about this all year long. This is something I'm trying to accomplish, and if I can do it with disgusting movies, I'll try to, really, by any means necessary. I'm trying to get him to pop up out of his hidey hole so I can get him before the end of the year. That's my New Year's resolution every year, is to kill God. Have not been successful yet, but it might. If you got any tips, tricks, where he's hanging out, shoot us a DM. Yeah, that's a horrible thing for you to do to another podcast's audience, but I do appreciate the gamesmanship. So did they introduce you to Ballerina?
Yes, so that's where we get the Ballerina from. This is a suggestion from Jason, just as a well-produced short film. And it was, like you said, it's not Halloween based, but it is so well done that it's absolutely worth talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will say, like, we're not going to necessarily set out to intentionally like spoil all these movies, but we will definitely inadvertently have spoilers involved. And some of these movies are so short, I mean, this one is under 8 minutes runtime. And some of those are credits. So we're talking, maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes. So you can absolutely literally just pause the podcast, go watch it on YouTube right now. If you just type in The Ballerina short film. Do you have, and I watched this on Social House Films, which I think is the production company perhaps, but do you have the director in front of you? Yeah,
the director is Aaron Fradkin. So director and editor of this film.
Gotcha. Yeah, this one, and I'll starts out off the first few minutes is with, expectedly, a young woman that is practicing ballet. She goes into an empty ballet studio in the evening, starts, preparing, wrapping her feet up and doing all her ballerina stuff and stretching and starts doing her exercises and routines and practicing. Lights start flickering. Never a good sign, right? When you're somewhere by yourself. But this takes the old adage, not old adage, but the old trope of like the mirror, right? Seeing yourself in the mirror, and then all of a sudden, something in the mirror does something different than what your reflection should be doing, and it takes it to I would go as far as to say an absolutely intense level.
Yeah.
And she is tormented by her reflection in the mirror or whatever entity is mimicking her in her would-be reflection. What were your overall thoughts on this one, Steve? I really liked it. And like you said, production value really high, performance really great. I had thought it was fantastic. No notes.
Yeah, just because it's so simplistic in its setup of this ballerina is dancing for herself, like she's practicing in an empty studio, but it's incredibly well lit. And then the actress, just to shout her out because it is a one-woman show on this, Valeska Miller.
Okay. And yeah, she's tremendous.
Yeah.
Especially when playing her would-be reflection. I don't know how else to say it besides just almost childlike way that she plays it. It's like this, I don't know if childlike's the right way, almost like juvenile, playful, but then in obviously a malicious way.
Yeah, it's juvenile, it's playful, it's also very obviously untrained because you see how well the woman in the studio dances, but then when her mirror image is trying to do the exact same moves, she's not limber, she doesn't point her toes, her knees are going all every which way. Her body's just twisting in weird ways in the mirror. And so it's one of those things of obviously Valeska is, an actual trained ballerina in real life because she's very good when she dances on her own, but she's so good she can dance bad in a funny way
and make it look believable. Right. Yeah. Fantastic one. I mean, this is such a well executed, tight, short film and creepy and just literally there's one performer, and it is nice when you have someone who's alarmingly talented who can literally do ballet, but then also be creepy and just a good performer, right? In general. So obviously this was a showcase for that one performer. So good stuff. Steve, do you want to bring up one from our list that you want to talk about?
Yeah. How about we jump over to, how about we do the one I picked? You and I also both picked films.
We each picked one, as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, how about we jump to the one I picked? It's called Just Stay In.
Mm-hmm.
And it is directed by Noah J. Welter. And I just wanted to share this one. I wanted to share the movie because it is Halloween vibes, but I just thought it was funny the way I found this film. Like we decided we were going to do this. And so I just sat out on a search and I literally typed into DuckDuckGo, like best Halloween short film. And you get a lot of lists, but I saw a website for a North Carolina film festival and they had a list of winners, and like that got picked up by the search index. And then this film got picked up into, that this film was the best Halloween short for that North Carolina Film Fest. But it turns out that Noah Welter is a filmmaker from Pittsburgh. And I just thought that was very funny. That
you sniffed out that vibe.
Yeah, I just thought it was very funny that he turns out to be a Pittsburgh filmmaker. And then you can see at the end of the credits, this film is actually partially sponsored by the George A. Romero Film Foundation.
Oh, cool.
So I assume they get a little bit of money to produce, films that way. And it was shot in Crawford County. Beautiful
Crawford County, up north.
Up north there,
towards Erie.
Yeah, in the Meadville area. But
I'll be up there in a couple days. Actually, I'll be up in beautiful Crawford County here in a couple of days. I'm sure you're all very excited for me. Yeah, this was a fun one as well, and this one is very on season with it being Halloween themed.
Yeah, so this one is a pretty fun setup of. We get introduced to a young kid, and supposedly the film is taking place in 2003, so they can eliminate things like cell phones. So this is about, when Brian and I would actually have been this kid's age, more or less. We would have been like 17, 18 at that time, but
right. Yeah, I would have been, but in high school.
Yeah. But yeah, we get introduced to this young kid, and he's coming home from school. And, he gets sent home early from school because like everybody's going to go trick or treat that night. But he's got, the super helicopter parents.
Yeah.
Who are just like, you can't go out. You got to stay home. No trick or treating for you.
Yeah, and you can't really figure out, at least I couldn't exactly figure it out. It's like they don't come off, because a lot of times when you have the parents that won't let the kid go out for trick or treat, it's because they're like super religious or whatever. They're like really protective. I mean, you don't necessarily get either of those vibes. You're not really sure why. You just kind of get the idea of like maybe they have some sort of like, I don't know, very new. They feel a little new agey in the way they're like dressed and the way they're behaving and everything. And you're just like, maybe it's something that they feel that this is. I don't know. They've got some kind of outlandish view on Halloween, so they don't want their kid going out. And he's like, fuck that noise. We're making it happen, as you should. And if there is any kids here listening to the podcast whose parents won't let them go out for Halloween, again, I've told you this in the past. Fuck your parents. Okay? Sneak out. Buy some cigs. Buy some eggs.
Hell yeah.
If you want to get some beers, if that's your thing, do that too. And go out and do wild shit. Get wild. Get wacky. Right. Smoke cigs. Do drugs. Do crimes. That's what Halloween's for.
Share a 40 between your friends. Throw it at Circle K.
Break it on the sidewalk. Yeah, just do crimes. That's what Halloween is for. And that's what he does. Although he's pretty mellow. He doesn't want to do. Yeah. Thank you. Dan in the chat said throw logs at mailboxes. That is a thing. I apparently told you guys about that. Yeah. So he decides he's not only going to make a creepy clown costume in his bedroom, he's also going to sneak out and go trick or treat with his friends. And
this film basically takes a pretty standard run for a while, because like he's out trick or treating with his friends, and then his friends have like this old lore of like, well, it's your first time trick or treating. That means you got to go to the Banshee house.
Oh, this gave me big Goosebumps vibes.
Yeah,
big Goosebumps vibes.
Yeah, it feels familiar, because we're like, oh yeah, it's like Goosebumps. And then they go to like this old abandoned Victorian mansion, which like there's a lot of these things in Pennsylvania I thought this might have been filmed in Bellefonte outside of State College, just because I remember like there's a lot of similar houses, and even I used one in my senior film. So yeah, I was like, oh yeah, is this maybe Bellefonte, PA? And no, it's like up in Meadville. But yeah, there's a lot of these old Victorian mansions that just sit around. Nobody wants to update them. So yeah, they're just condemned. But that's what they use. And they, you know, send this kid up by his own. They're like, you got to go through the Banshee house, but you got to exit through the basement.
Oh, so we know you did the thing. So yeah, they make him go down through the basement. And then, maybe not surprising, he gets a little jump scare because his friends are hiding in the basement with a spooky old mask to jump out and scare him. So they're playing a little trick on there by little Halloween hazing, if you will. But then, as they're leaving, they hear a noise from upstairs. And this is the case. This is a situation where you get the fuck up out of there, right?
Yeah.
But he's feeling brave. His adrenaline's running because his friends had jumped out and scared him. So he decides to go upstairs and figure out what was making that noise. And he sees also one of the most predictable things you can see on Halloween, which is an occult murder. Sometimes you walk into the wrong house, you end up witnessing an occult murder. So he sees in this instance, you know, a guy kind of tied to a chair, you know, just like a standard dining room chair.
Yeah.
A bunch of people in black robes around them. One of them pulls out a knife, slices his throat. Classic occult murder. Although I will say, not quite enough iconography, not enough chanting for my occult taste, but you know, standard run-of-the-mill occult murder. I
was actually kind of surprised that they literally kill this guy, because what I thought we were going to discover is like, so, you know, our protagonist, he was tricked by his group of friends into doing something stupid and getting scared, you know, in this old house. And I thought what he was stumbling upon was like a college hazing ritual, which is the advanced version of what just happened to him. And I was like, oh yeah, they got this fucking freshman tied to a chair and they're about to haze him and they're threatening him with a knife.
They're gonna make him pick up cherries with his butt cheeks or something.
Yeah, they're gonna make him admit something terrible. And then oh no, they killed him. Oh, he's dead. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they sliced his throat. We have a theme going throughout this evening's films where we get in a lot of throat slashing. Yeah. Easy effect to pull off and make it look reasonably decent. And yeah, so we get a lot of throat slashing in these short films tonight. But yeah, then all of a sudden he tries to get the hell up out of there, bumps into one of his friends that were coming back to find him. She gets brained, and then he gets brained, and then he wakes up out of his unconsciousness, and he's the one tied to the chair. Nobody wants to be in that situation. And then Stephen, you tell him what the big twist is.
So the big reveal is, and Dan in the chat mentioned it already, that like you see it coming, but they remove his clown mask, and two of the druids standing in front of him, you know, are immediately shocked, and then they drop their hoods because it's his damn parents. And his
damn parents.
And his
That's
dad.
Why I didn't want him to go out.
That's why they didn't want him out there. And his dad is great because he has a very Pittsburgh face, in that he's just a dad with a mustache. You reckon that
pierogi face?
Yeah,
he's got
pierogi face. It's a recognizable face from Pittsburgh to Chicago. Just a guy with a mustache. It's a little bit,
just a Midwestern dad.
Yeah, a little bit red, a little full of butter, and and just his delivery
smells like onions.
Yeah, smells like onions. Can't help it. It's great. There's no better smell than onions and peppers on the grill. I can't tell you what.
Come on.
But just his delivery sells the whole thing, because he just goes, "Oh fuck." just that delivery of like the realization is great.
We fucked up. Yeah. And then, you know, we cut to credits, and here's one of the great details I thought is they cut to credits. You don't know obviously what happened. However, they start playing this song, which I didn't write down the name of the song, but it's talking about being empty nesters now. That's what the song's about. So that makes you, of course, leads you to the assumption that their hands were tied, no pun intended. They had to kill their son for whatever ritual that they were performing. And, you know, it was kind of like, hey, it's their fault. They thought he was at home. He wasn't. The kid got it. So, yeah. And that's it.
Yeah.
But it has a real Goosebumps vibe to it, because obviously slashing throats and killing kids typically didn't happen in the Goosebumps movies. But that twist ending where the parents were involved the whole time, classic Goosebumps twist.
Yeah. The film goes from Goosebumps to Fear Street. It switches on you.
Yeah. Once you see a little switchblade pop out, then it's going to Fear Street. But yeah, really, really fun film. Really great Yinzer vibe to it. I loved it.
Yeah, Yinzer vibe, Halloween vibe. Even though it said, you know, I found out it was filmed in Crawford County, the town, not the Victorian house, but the town looks very like Bethel Park, you know?
Sure.
So yeah, it's just one of those, you just if you live in the, you know, PA or Ohio area, you just kind of recognize houses that look like that. Like, yeah, they were all built in the 40s and 50s with red brick, and you go, I know what that house is.
Yeah, I walk by that house. Okay, let's do. You know what? Let's go in the order of my notes here. Let's go with The Need. This is one from. This is one from Hallow Ian, right?
Yeah, this is from our buddy Hallow Ian at the Hallow Ian Horror Hour. He sent us a whole shitload, because this is literally his deal of, you know, producing the Hallow Ian Horror Hour. He, you know, showcases short films all the time. So he had a huge list for us, but this one is actually directed by him as well.
Okay. I thought that might be the case. Yeah. So this is Ian actually directed this one, and it is called, like I said, The Need. And go check out the Hallow Ian Horror Hour on YouTube. Super fun. If you live in the Seattle, Washington area, you may already be familiar with it, because they still do it on, is it just on YouTube, or is it on public access TV? I know at one point that was
so it's on public access in Seattle. They have some stuff on YouTube, but also when Ian was a guest, he was talking about how like they are putting some of the Horror Hour on like Tubi and I believe Fossum, and
that's right.
Maybe Plex, but I think Tubi and Fossum for sure. So yeah, start checking Tubi and Fossum for them being on there, and give them some traffic that way too.
Yeah, I'm following them on the social medias as well. If you search it on there, you'll find them, and I'm sure it'll tell you when that stuff goes live. Anyway, one of our good buds. Yeah, so this movie starts out with we get introduced to David, and David works at a frame shop, right? That frames photos and paintings and that sort of stuff. And David, little awkward with his customers that are coming in. We get this thing. We get this shot where David keeps reaching into his pants pocket, and he's got some little item, this little kind of like off-white little item, and it's hard to tell what it is, but he keeps like rubbing it between like his thumb and like the knuckle of his forefinger, and it feels like it's some sort of like compulsive thing he does, or some sort of comfort thing that he does. And then we start to get this creepy what we can pretty much pick up on right off the bat is this imagining, right? Or perhaps it's something that's just not there and only David can see, but it's this woman that appears to be drowned, right? She appears to be a dead woman. She's got the kind of almost like waterlogged type of feature. She's got wet hair. She appears to be dead, and that death appears to have happened in or around water. And she is talking to David. She's giving him all his kind of like self-hating thoughts in his head, like you're pathetic, nobody likes you, nobody wants to talk to you, blah blah blah.
She's also like uncomfortably close when she's talking to him.
She's right up in his shit.
Yeah. The framing is like pretty great. Like the blocking really of the scene is great, because she is just right up on his shit. Like just pressed all over him in his ear, and just not yelling, but just like hammering home what a fucking loser he is, and nobody likes him, and nobody will ever be around him. Yeah, it's solid.
Yeah, and you're obviously feeling very sympathetic for David right off the bat. She's calling him Davy too, so like there's obviously some degree of familiarity there. You're getting these flashbacks that are kind of hinting at the fact that they had a relationship, and then you're also seeing her dead in a bathtub full of blood. So it's like, you get the feeling that maybe my first thought was like, did she commit suicide, at some point or something like that? But you're not really sure. So I love these types of movies, especially in a short film that just keeps you guessing. You're just trying to keep up. You're just taking in information, trying to keep up. He goes to see this other girl. He has this awkward interaction with this woman at the frame shop. And then his boss lets him go early. And of course the woman that he's seeing is telling him like, he doesn't like you. You're a piece of shit, blah, 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 blah. He goes to see this other woman sing at an open mic, and you could see him like kind of talking himself into going to the open mic. And the ghost woman or whatever she is saying like, no, she doesn't want you to come. She was just being polite. You're a piece of shit. Keeps calling him pathetic, calling him dumb, calling him a loser. Everybody hates him, all that stuff. And then he goes to the open mic, and we see the woman singing, playing guitar, and he goes up to talk to her and like introduce like, hey, I came to see you type of thing. And you don't get the response from her that you're expecting. You're expecting that she's going to be like, oh, wow, so happy you came, and like she did genuinely want him to come. But the complete opposite is true. You could tell she was either she's like a horrible person. She's just being really mean to him in front of people, or she really was just being kind when she said something about, hey, you should come see me sing sometime.
Yeah. Or she's doing a bring 5 friends, bringer deal of like, if you get enough people in the door of this bar, like it helps me out because the bar is going to sell drinks, so like they'll invite me back to play another show.
Yeah. So now you're like, ooh, is David actually a creep? And, what's going on? Then you see a flashback of David is the one who actually killed the girl who is talking to him and calling him a loser and stuff like that. In fact, he done munched her throat out, which is not the most traditional way to kill somebody in a bathtub.
No,
but he sure did. And now he's following the girl that was singing in the bar. So now we got a little role reversal here. Maybe David is not the sympathetic character that we thought he was going to be. And now we see what he's been touching in his pocket the whole time, which is finger bones of his victims. He's got a little labeled box with a bunch of little fingy bones in him that has different women's names associated with them. So he keeps rubbing them, and every time he rubs them, he kind of sees the memories of these different victims. And we see him, have this relationship or a date or something like that with another woman that he later strangles. He's like laying in bed with like so essentially he's almost like summoning the memories of his victims who are like kind of obviously not there. They're just in his head, but they're also like, they're kind of urging him to kill, but then are also comforting him. Like basically it's like, this is the way we are seeing the way he's like justifying and also coping with his murders. Is maybe a good way to put it.
Yeah. I like this film because it has a bit of like addiction and alcoholism subtext to it. I don't know that it plays all the way through, but like when we're first introduced to him, the way he's rubbing the finger bones, it's kind of like the way, some people in recovery like will rub their recovery chip, whatever. Sure. Just as a reminder, like, if they're on their 60 day or, 90 day or whatever. And, obviously we get the other connections of like, it's a compulsion for him to do it, for him to, kill women. So he just can't help it. And, it is basically revealed that he's a vampire. because we get this flashback to this other woman at the end, and like he has the vampire teeth pop out. So like
oh yeah, I did neglect to put that in my notes.
Yeah. So like he does, it does seem like he abuses the women first and hits them, which is more of like a connection to alcoholism, but he is also a vampire, which is why he bit the one woman in the bathtub and why he has the vampire teeth. So yeah,
he do be drinking blood. He do be drinking
that blood, and he do be needing it. So yeah, it's interesting.
He do be needing it.
He's needing it. It's interesting though, like how he switches from the one finger of the woman who's like really just like shitty in his ear to this other finger, and then this other woman that he killed is just like very understanding of him, and is like, he has
like different relationships with his different victims, kind of.
Yeah. And he's like,
this one he uses to psych him up, and this one he uses to calm him down. Yeah,
makes him feel good about it. Like it's kind of left ambiguous. Like he does turn away from the open mic woman that he followed. He follows her home, but he does turn away from her and go back home. And so he kind of admits defeat to himself, I guess. And that's why he switches to this other woman who's like very understanding. And she's like, did you do it? And he's like, he doesn't really reply in the end. She's just like stroking his hair and making him feel better as he, just tries to conjure her memory. So
yeah, really fun film, really well done, impactful, good performances. I love this one. Really, really fantastic job by Ian and everyone involved here. We're starting out with some goodies. All the ones we talked about so far, I've been very positive on. They're not. I don't. We purposefully didn't do any stinkers.
No,
you see, these are all good in their own ways, but I think we started with some of the strongest ones, minus my pick, of course, which we haven't talked about yet. But which one do you want to talk about next?
Let's see. Oh, okay. How about this? This is a nice, easy layup for the audience. It's something I'm sure we've referenced a bunch because we sell a shirt related to it. But I wanted to bring this one up because we started doing something else and it turned into this. So on Blue Sky, we're in touch with this account called Sub Cinema, and Sub Cinema showcases like a whole bunch of like underground and like subversive films. They do film programming within Pittsburgh, showing like just fucked up movies. But they also have a Twitch stream that runs like fucked up movies, 24/7. So go to subcinema.org and you can get a list of the programming or just watch the Twitch stream. But it's all curated by Andy P, and he does a good job with just like putting out, real fucked up underground stuff. It's not all horror, but obviously a lot of it's going to skew horror because of the nature. But he suggested a short film that starred Dan O'Bannon, and this is like the student film from back in their USC days, and a lot of people credit it as kind of the because it was from USC and like John Carpenter was there at the same time. Like a lot of people credit it as the precursor to Halloween and Black Christmas. It's like a 15-minute short film. So yeah, Andy from Sub Cinema tried to put me onto that, but he saw it through the USC archive footage, which is curated by Dino Everett. He showcases these films, but his password got changed. They had it's like a locked Vimeo account, and so I was like, okay, well, I'll email Dino and see if I can get that, because I thought it would be really fun to like talk about a film that was kind of the precursor to Halloween and everything on this. But
yeah, of course.
But I had to email Dino on a weekend, And I guess he just wasn't answering emails this weekend. So I was like, hey, I don't think we're going to get this film. Do you have a backup? And he said Biocop. And I said, yep, we love Biocop.
Yeah. We love a Stephen Kostanski. I think we were just talking about, actually, that might have been on the Patreon episode.
Yeah.
We were talking about Freddie Frico, or Frankie Frico.
Yeah, we were talking about Frankie Frico and the upcoming Deathstalker.
Yeah, the upcoming Deathstalker remake. And obviously we've talked about, I think, The Void ad nauseum. We did multiple, we did a whole episode on Psycho Gorman when it came out. Big Kostanski heads over here. So the movie that inspired at least one of the characters in Psycho Gorman, Biocop, directed by Stephen Kostanski, and you'll see some familiar faces in there. What year was this? This was early 2000s, right?
So yeah, it reads 2012. I'm trying to.
I thought it was even earlier than that. I was thinking it was like 2006.
Maybe, but I don't think so.
Yeah, you might be. You're probably right.
I think it might be 2011. But what it really was is it started as a fake trailer attached to another one of their movies, and I think it was attached to Father's Day. But I might be wrong about that. But it was part of like their Astron 6 line of films, and so I know, Biocop shows up in one of the features, but it was also filmed as a short. So yeah, 2012 is when it's from. So that's why I think it was part of Father's Day, because Father's Day is like 2011. So yeah, this is I mean, it's shot as an 80s, essentially like super stylized ultra violent buddy cop trailer, but the star is the titular Biocop, who is a like bioengineered like unkillable mutant monstrosity that is essentially a like constantly oozing, bleeding skeleton of a humanoid that always is like regenerating and just exploding and leaking and oozing and bleeding and just like can barely speak or communicate and is always like, why am I alive? Shit like that, and like, kill me now. And they're like, I mean, this sums up the whole short film / trailer here. I think is like, it's him and his buddy, the kind of stereotypical sidekick in the buddy cop movies. And he looks over, he says something, hey, something to Biocop, and he looks over and he just goes, why am I alive? And he goes, shut the fuck up. Yeah.
It's such a funny exchange.
It is just taking the RoboCop formula, but instead of RoboCop, it's Emil who gets covered in the radioactive waste and gets splattered on the windshield, and making him the cop instead. It's so funny.
Yeah, you will laugh out loud 6 or 7 times during this like 5-minute trailer. And also it is just disgusting. It's just a melt movie through and through.
Yeah, it's a melt movie. It's brilliant because it is shot purposely as a trailer. So like they weren't planning on this as like a longer film, but they shot it as a trailer. And so they had to get all of the right scenes to put in. So they have, the scene of, Biocop fighting with his partner in the car. They have Biocop and the partner fighting with the police chief. They cut to like the mayor who's doing drug deals. Like he's the bad guy, and he's like, they'll never suspect me, and nobody can do anything about the drugs I'm putting into the city. And it's like,
like explaining the whole plot of this pretend movie,
right? Yeah,
and of course, this is also where we got our quote of "Nothing gets you high like drugs" with a Z, which is one of our probably better selling shirts on our shop. But
goes through like all the major beats, but like it turns a lot of them on their head. One of the best ones is, you know, the one cop, the partner cop goes to shake BioCop's hand, and then BioCop fucking Tetsuo from Akira's him and just like takes over his entire body and, you know, subsumes him into his chest and like makes him Quado from Total Recall.
Yeah, and he's like inside his chest essentially. Yeah. It's just an absolute fucking treat. Many of you have probably already saw this and know exactly what we're talking about. For those of you who haven't, I'm jealous because you get to watch this with fresh eyes. It's so funny. It's so gross. It's never wearing a shirt. I love it.
Yeah, it is the best. I can't believe it ends though with the Biopsycho becoming friends with BioCop.
Oh yeah, and then they're like buddies driving in the car.
But we get introduced to this monster, the Biopsycho, and he's like this 8-foot tall, you know, super villain, and he's gonna kill BioCop. But then
he's essentially the precursor to Psycho Gorman.
Yeah, and he is throwing BioCop around, and then all of a sudden just decides to take him on a road trip. And the whole time, the only thing the Biopsycho can say is BioCop. So he's just roaring BioCop over and over. But then when they get in the car and they're just driving down the highway, he turns into Snake from The Simpsons. And he's just like, oh, BioCop.
It's just, I mean, like I said, they're just having, it is, if you love Psycho Gorman, or if you love Frankie Frico, you will absolutely get the sense of humor, and enjoy the hell out of it. So
yeah, just
watch it immediately.
One of their best early works. One of the easiest ways to see that, like, oh yeah, these guys are actually gonna really fucking make something of themselves, because it's just like an unequaled masterpiece of nonsense.
Yeah, so fun, such a fun one. All right, do you want to jump into mine?
Sure.
My pick?
Yeah, we can do yours.
All right, I picked this one because we just got done, and I don't know if it was on the main show or if it was on the Patreon show, but we were just recently talking about Curry Barker.
It was we were actually talking about Curry Barker on our VHS Halloween episode because Meg brought it up.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. Because we were talking about Milk and Cereal, which was a feature film that he directed and starred in earlier this year. And we were talking about like all the cool projects and stuff that he has going on. He also has a very famous short horror film called The Chair that's very easy to find on YouTube as well. But I picked a different one because it is, in fact, very Halloween themed. It's called Warnings, and it's directed by, also is stars Curry Barker, who you might know his face from, and I'm blanking on the like Instagram reels and like his kind of, I don't want to say comedy troupe, but yeah, it's kind of like a sketch comedy troupe that he works with that also, you know, they do a bunch of YouTube and like social media content, funny content. Yeah. And then they also star in a lot of his films.
Yeah. It's called That's a Bad Idea. Yep.
So you might know him from that as well. But yeah, this is called Warning. So this is a little bit longer. I think it's our longest one. This is running, you know,
it's almost 20.
Almost 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So it starts out, I'm not going to, this is one that like, it's a little ambiguous on purpose. So we won't get into like every one of the spoilers here, but it starts out with Curry, which I think his name's Sean in the movie. Mm-hmm. But he comes to his car and there is a note that someone left on the outside window of his car, which was so strange because I literally watched this right after I got done watching the movie The Chaser. I don't know if you've ever saw that.
No, I haven't seen that one.
Korean. I mean, it's got some horrific elements, but it's more of a crime drama. And one of the parts of it is they're putting all these like advertisements of people's cars. But in any case, it says, "I'm begging you to stop," which is a very, you know, obviously bizarre and cryptic thing to leave on someone's car. So for the next few minutes, it's like him explaining to his friends first of all, they're getting ready for a Halloween party, and they're talking about this note and how it's like really fucking with him and he can't stop thinking about it. He then like gets another note in his car. I didn't write down what the other note said. I think it's like please stop or something. It's basically this similar.
It was I think it's a please don't drive your car is the
that's note. Right. That's right. Please don't drive your car. And it's inside his car this time. So now he's like getting really freaked out, and his friends are like agreeing with him that it's creepy, but also they're kind of nonchalant about it, but they're also like dealing with their own things. Like he's talking to his one friend and she's like sitting with somebody who's like obviously drank too much and is like violently vomiting in the toilet. So, they're kind of like, yeah, man, that's creepy, whatever, And then he goes ahead and leaves a note on his car that says, to whom am I speaking? I think, or something like that. He then stays over at his friend's house, who had the party, and he has this creepy dream where his friends are talking to him about it, and his blood starts coming out of his mouth, and he starts like attacking his friends and stuff like that, or his friend starts attacking his other friend. He wakes up the next morning, and he goes when he goes home, I'm trying to best way to describe this. He hears something banging in the back of his car. So he pops his trunk, and his trunk is like, it's almost like there's someone on the inside that's moving it, right? The trunk is kind of like not even half closing, but just kind of like bouncing against the fully open position and then snaps closed. And it's like, is this something explicitly wrong with his car? He's not really sure. He goes home, calls his friend. And then he goes, when he's at home, he has a sign, or a note on his bed says, your mother's name is Harriet. So it's like somebody is trying to convince him that they're serious about what is happening. He has this weird interaction with his door where he can't close his door. Like he can't open it and he can't close it. Like he's trying to get in, he can't push it open. Then once he's in the door, he can't keep it, like he can't push it closed. Almost like there's something blocking it. So eventually he finds a Polaroid picture in his house of him and his friends sitting there talking in the way that they were talking in his dream the night before. It is kind of setting up for like Sean is an unreliable narrator, where he goes out into like the other room to like splash water in his face, and he comes back and there's a note on the TV in the room where his other two friends were sitting, and they're like, he's like, why are you fucking with me? Did you put that note there? And they're like, what are you talking about? Why are you fucking with us? So you don't know who to trust. And they're like, no, you just walked in, wrote the note down and put it on the TV. Do you not remember that? Of course he doesn't. And he doesn't believe that he did it. So, and then eventually the friends like kind of just come clean and are like, no, yeah, we wrote the note, right? I kind of missed a pivotal part at the beginning. But when he first goes over, when the note's on the car, he's talking about how he had this near-death experience in a car accident.
Right.
It's probably an important thing to call out at the beginning of the movie, or beginning of the description. But so they basically are explaining to him that he was supposed to die. And so they have to go outside, and he's going to get hit by a car because he was supposed to die. In the kind of mild struggle that happens in front of the house, his friend ends up dying. And then when he goes back in the house, his friend's then banging on the door, and you get this really fantastic scene. This is really the scene that made me pick the movie, where he goes back inside. The house is dark. You're just getting some like outdoor light kind of coming from a side room, and you're looking through what looks like a kitchen, and then into a back kind of hallway or like a mud room type of thing. And you see the one friend in the back, but you don't know who it is. It almost looks like it's him standing back there in silhouette. And then his female friend who's in the foreground, and she's doing this very uncanny type of the only thing I could think that reminds me of is like a Japanese ghost story type of uncanny cartoonish walk into the foreground. And he's just kind of watching that. His friend behind him is banging on the door. You can see him through like this these kind of like sheer curtains, and then a sickle that you would expect the Grim Reaper to have kind of pulls in front of him, and a pistol to the other side. And you hear the gunshot like he was just shot. And then all of a sudden he is back in his out in front of his car on the street, and he's slowly seeing himself in the Halloween costume coming up to, I guess, presumably leave a note on his door. So there's these, it's not all explained, but there's kind of these separate timelines in reality that are happening, and things need to happen in a certain order for the timelines to kind of line up, I guess. And things have gotten a little out of whack because he ultimately, cheated death, prior to the beginning of the movie. So it ends up with him leaving a note on his own car that says there's no way out. So presumably another version of him has tried to figure out this loop and survive this ordeal with no success. That's kind of how I took it. Yeah.
I read it more as like he has created this kind of false world that he lives in. And I don't really know where it exists, but like, there's this kind of back and forth of like, who's Sean and who's Kyle. And
they do have that argument about like, why are you calling me that name or something?
Mm-hmm. And so I think he's adopted the identity of either Sean or Kyle. It's a little confusing, but like he's adopted this alternate identity and is living in this world, and all the notes are from himself trying to remind him of who he actually is, which is why the one note about, your mother's name is Harriet comes up. Like, remember, remember these bits about yourself, remember these bits. And so, he's trying to prompt himself to, go the right way and finish whatever loop he's in and actually die. But he doesn't seem to be able to. I like how all of the interiors are really dark, and they're lit in a stylistic way, but they're not lit in a way that would be livable. Like,
sure.
Like everything is dark blues. Like they're never sitting in a functioning light.
There's never an overhead light.
Yeah.
There's never a lamp on. It's always feels like there's light coming from an adjacent room.
Yeah.
Into that room.
Yeah. So like it feels like they're living in this dead world because, there's never any lights on. Like there's lights on, but they're non-functional. They don't have a purpose. And, obviously when we're in the daylight, it's just the sun. I don't know. Maybe I would have not done daylight at all and just like always done darkness, because, then you're just selling this, idea that he's just constantly trapped in all of this darkness and he can't escape it. He has no control over it. He has no control over, the doors or anything in the world. And like, if a door is being held open, it's something trying to let something in, but like he's trying, he's trying to close off from the real world.
He's given the ability to fight against it in some capacity, where when you see him pushing against the door and pulling against the door, Yeah. So anyway, I haven't went through and kind of traced the steps, if you will, of the logic of who he is and like what he's trying to warn himself about. But I don't know. I love the open-ended element of it. I love the kind of clever writing. I think the performances are great.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love that creepy Japanese ghost walk that she's doing at the end.
It didn't remind me of that, but I guess I can say it now that you say it. But it actually, for whatever reason, it reminded me of the end of the Seventh Seal, where Death is leading the procession of all the souls that he took from that film. Just because it's a very weird, jaunty walk, but like. Yeah, in this one, it feels very like Seventh Seal or even stage performance of like Chicago. Like she's walking out almost as like a flapper girl, with the heel to toe type stuff. So yeah. But yeah, it like you said, it's very uncanny. It's not a way you would walk normally as a person. It's a full on performance walk. It's performative.
It is. Yes, very much so. And then in the way it's in slow motion is what makes it feel like it's obviously something somebody did on a different plane, because then later the reveal is, when I mentioned he's going and he puts the note on his own car and then he comes up and reads it, or he puts the note in the car and then you see the other him coming up to read it in the costume. He's walking in slow motion too. Yeah. So it's almost like they're one step ahead of whatever this other plane of existence is. Mm-hmm. So that was obviously something that was happening when they were maybe like goofing around or whatever, like earlier in the night or on this other plane. So I don't know. Thought it was well done.
Take the song "Hey Big Spender" and fucking slow it down by 200%. Play that while she does the walk on it. Hey Big Spender.
Yeah, she's doing some or
time
like
with me.
Yeah, the like, hello my baby, hello my honey. Yeah, she's kind of doing that march. Anyway, okay, that was my pick. That was Warnings. We got a few more. What do you want to do next?
Let's jump to what Louie sent us. Louie sent us one. Louie from our friend at the Haunted Hangover. He sent us a little film called Help Me.
Now, was this the one that did Louie direct this? I think he might have.
Yeah, Louie.
Okay, so
I believe all of the ones that Louie sent us. Like I said, we got a glut of films from both Louie and Hallow Ian. But yeah, I believe all the ones that Louie sent us were ones he directed, but he suggested this one above all the others. So,
Yep. I had actually watched this one already, either because he shared it with me, or maybe we talked about it when he was a guest on the show, or maybe when we were guests on his show. But go check out our bud Louie on the Haunted Hangover podcast. He talks about spooky Halloween shit all year round too. So this movie he directed is called Help Me. And we start out with this very similar vibe to the previous movie. End of the night, Halloween party. Everyone's a little toasted. Everyone's a little tipsy. And they're kind of wrapping up the night. And we have this woman who is like, I'm going to go home. And they're like, no, you should just crash here. You're drunk. And she's like, no, I'm good. I'm going to call a cab. I'll be fine. And they're like, you sure? No, I'll be fine. So she goes outside and is waiting for a cab, or Lyft or Uber or whatever. You get the idea, because she's looking at the app and she's like, oh man, it's 25 minutes. Like she's got to wait a little while for this cab. But she's already outside. So she sits down on this bench. She sees this creepy creeper across the street with like a werewolf mask on. And you're like, fuck, it's going to be one of them type of movies. But no, then another guy just runs up in a similar werewolf mask and pulls his mask off, and then they're like, ha, and run away. I was like, oh, it's kind of creepy.
Just two werewolves playing grab ass.
It's just two werewolves dicking around. But then she nods off, because she is in fact, pretty drunk. She nods off, kind of sitting on the bench. And you see her kind of wake up, and we get the idea she's, this is potentially a dream. We're not sure, but she's bathed in this kind of red light. and she hears this woman say, "Help me." And, somebody saying, "Help me, help me." So she follows the sound again, red light bathed alleyway. You steer clear of that.
Yeah.
If lights start flickering, steer clear of that. But she does not, because this is, potentially a dream environment. She follows the sound, and she sees there's a woman on the ground and some guy kind of over her, seemingly attacking her or potentially doing something nefarious. She walks up. She's very scared, but she confronts him. He turns around, and it's this damn demon looking guy. He's got like a weird, almost like a, I don't know, he almost looks like a panther or something like that. He's got this like freaky ass demonic animal face. And then looks down, and the person he's attacking is her. And then just as he like lunges towards her, she wakes up on the bench. Right. And then, so I forgot to check on this. I should have, and I should ask Louie, because she gets a call from the driver. It's like, "Hey, I'm your driver. I'll be there in a minute," kind of thing. The driver sounds suspiciously like Jay from Sludge Central, who is a co-host along with Matt of Dinosaur Dracula on the very popular Purple Stuff podcast, of which I'm a fan and have been a patron for a long time. It sounds suspiciously like Jay, and Jay's a New Jersey guy, and I know I know Louie's from New York, and I wonder if maybe they know each other, and that's why it maybe he voiced it. But man, it sounded just like him. It's a very deep voice.
I'm pretty sure it is. It's in the credits. It says with Jay Amabile.
Okay, I don't know what his last name is, but I'm sure it's Jay from the Purple Stuff podcast. Very recognizable, very deep voice. Anyway, so she gets her call from her cab driver. That wakes her up. She answers it. All right, I'll be there in a minute. And she's like, "Okay, cool." Hangs up, and then she hears, "Help me," the very same tone that she heard earlier. So her dream may have been a premonition of sorts. Who knows?
Yeah, a premonition, or maybe she's just living a cycle, or however it may be. I kind of like the creature design and the way it's set up.
I do too.
I think maybe Louie was going for something similar to the Mulholland Drive jump scare, just because that burned up bag lady looks very similar to this creature with its like blackened face and kind of sharp teeth for no reason, and like it's both like about creeping down an alleyway and you get a jump scare. So I wonder if Louie was doing a little bit of a homage.
It's like if you took the bag lady from Mulholland Drive and then combined her with the baddies from Sleepwalkers.
Sure,
cat people.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're getting. Imagine if them kitty people had like charred faces.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one was really fun, really well done, and love a bathe in an alleyway with spooky red lights that's got dang monsters in it. I love it. And a lot of nice Halloween vibe. She's got like a pumpkin. She's doing the whole thing with like almost looks like a children's pumpkin costume on too, which is always fun. So very enjoyable.
I like the films. Kind of the way they've been featured. Like we talked about Hallow Ian from Seattle, and he has like some pretty good like Seattle cheesecake shots in The Need. In the Just Stay In, we mentioned how it very much looks like that Western Pennsylvania Midwest vibe. And then in this one, we get the very New York vibe because everything is very kind of claustrophobic. Like it's very kind of packed in, even in the framing of the shots, though. It's like very tight as we go down the alleys and, the big.
Well, and she's also like the apartment building she's standing out in front of and everything.
Yeah. So it's just cool how you get a whole bunch of different locale vibes from all of these short films.
Yep. All right. A few more left. What do you want to do next?
Did you want to do the Cookie Crumbles?
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, I thought
that one.
I thought that one had a fun twist to it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll set this one up. We get introduced to a woman who is being kind of inundated in her everyday life, in her daily life, by essentially Girl Scouts selling Girl Scout cookies. But they don't call them Girl Scouts, they call them chipmunks, right? So all the chipmunks are going from business to business, door to door, selling their cookies. And we're talking about all the different types of cookies they're selling, and it's for a good cause, and they all have their little speech, right, of like why they're selling them, and please help us, sell enough to, help our, and as someone with kids who were both, for a short period of time involved in Girl Scouts and did sell cookies, and ours was pretty not serious, but we would see other Girl Scouts, out selling cookies, and we're like, wow, they're like, this is almost an MLM, like not quite. Girl Scouts is gonna be a great, for all I think is not a horrible organization like the Boy Scouts is, as far as I know. But it does get a little MLM-y at times. In any case, that they're giving off all those vibes, and this woman is talking about how, she's trying to stay strong. She's really struggling though, because she's being tempted at every corner by these kids, and the kids almost start to take on a sinister tone. Not almost, very much start to take on a sinister tone. She has a dream of the kids all like following her and surrounding her in like a park at night, and like some of them are like walking on their hands and just being really creepy. And all the phrases they're saying is like, I mean, this one I would say we certainly categorize as like more of a black comedy.
Yeah.
Because the things they're saying are funny. It's like they're funny because they're true. Like they're going gluten free and like we take Venmo.
There was, dude, I love because it starts out as kind of like that classic haunted dream of like just a bunch of floating heads, harassing, harassing her, like spinning around her, and like you're saying, yeah, you're getting the key phrases of like gluten-free cookies, we take Venmo, and then in there it's a little buried, but one of the girls just goes, have you now or ever been a part of the Communist Party?
I missed that.
It's a little bit buried, but it's in there, and I heard it. I was like, this is so like, yeah, we're doing black comedy.
Yeah. So at one point she like finds like some of the kids, and they're like, they have a bonfire going, and they're like roasting a baby doll, while they're chasing her and stuff. So they're just doing sinister shit. Then she wakes up, she calls her friend and being like, hey, my friend, like I have, I'm really struggling here. I'm trying to stay strong. I'm really struggling, but like, oh, they sound so good and so tasty. And but I don't want to give in, kind of thing. And the friend's like, well, if you end up getting some, bring them to me. And it's like trying to help her. But she wakes up after the dream with a stomach ache. And she's worried that like, oh no, I gave in, right? I maybe in a moment of weakness, I gave in to the chipmunks and bought some cookies and ate all these cookies. She walks downstairs, her doorbell's ringing, and she opens the door, and it's a priest, not the police, a priest, and a woman who's going like, she's the one who took my baby and blah blah blah. And then she turns around, and she is a demon, just straight up, like almost like reptilian, demonic creature, right? And you get the idea, of course, now that she wasn't tempted by the cookie, she was tempted by the chipmunks themselves. She wanted to eat the Girl Scouts, and she apparently has eaten a Girl Scout.
Yeah.
The priest holds up like a cross, and he rips his arm off. So this goes from like, there's been no gore, no nothing. This goes from 0 to 60 immediately. Rips the arm off, blood spraying everywhere, sprays the mom in the face with all the blood. And then we also get like her friend, does her friend call her back? Is that what happens?
No, I mean, they stay on the line. Like,
oh, they're on the line still. Yeah, she's still on the phone with her. That's right. Because we see the friend, and the friend is also transformed into a demon, and they are demon pals that eat children.
Yeah.
So.
And then the big punchline is like, as she discards the priest's arm into a pile of like sashes and everything else.
Oh yeah.
You know, the big punchline is, now what am I going to do with all these cookies?
Yeah. And she's got like a giant wall of cookies, right?
Yeah.
Not cookies. She was eating the Goyle Scouts.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one was fun. Short, tight, you know, like I said, had some good laughs in there, and then just went from 0 to 60. I find that, you know, obviously with feature-length horror films, big twists and turns and all that, you know, big reveals and stuff, certainly part of a lot of movies, but I'm not as well. I mean, I've watched quite a few, but I'm probably not as well versed with short films as you are. Even, you know, obviously Ian and Louie and stuff, having directed them. I feel like a lot of the horror short films I've watched, which I watched, you know, at least a dozen of them, you know, yesterday, and probably equal amount the day before when we were talking about this. And a lot of them do tend to be more reliant on the twist or the reveal. Mm-hmm. Which makes sense, right? Because you got to get to it pretty quick. You only have a limited time, but yeah. So
yeah. I mean, you're looking to hit a punchline is what a lot of it is. Like, you know, it's not necessarily going to be a funny punchline like this movie. This movie is, you know, obviously just a straight up joke to end it. But like, just stay in. It's a punchline. You know, you're hitting the twist of like, oh, fuck, they're really killing people. And then you do get a real joke punchline of like, oh, fuck, you know, it's our son. But
yeah.
You know, on the 31 Days of Horror, one of my recent write-ups was for something that's on Shudder. It's called the Etheria Film Showcase. And it's a showcase of short films, but they're all directed by women. But
I think this is streaming on Shudder, right?
Yeah. I said that.
Did you literally just say that?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I was cool. Wait. Let me triple check.
Yeah.
Is this on Shudder?
It's on Shudder.
Okay, cool.
Hey, Brian.
All right.
You want to log on Shudder?
All right, I'm here.
You can watch.
I'm here.
You can watch.
Yeah, listen, I'm slurping on this E&J brandy over here. All right, leave me alone.
I forgot you're in hard stuff tonight.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, there's a couple films in that also, you know, like they're sub 20 minutes, and then they hit, you know, they do hit a punchline, sort of, you know, a big twist reveal. But yeah, I think it's just perhaps useful for the format, especially horror. You know, I don't know too many short romantic films. I don't know how well those work. I don't seek them out.
It's hard to build up the, you know, there's too many plot points you got to hit. You got to have them hate each other at first. Then they have to grow to like each other over the course of several scenes. You're saying, you ain't got time for that much character development in a 5-minute movie or an 8-minute movie.
Yeah. Plus, who's fucking watching that? Like, they just need that.
That'd be wild.
It's just like a real like wine mom who needs a live, laugh, love serotonin hit in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Just like taking a shit and just watches a short romance film.
We should do the short romance film. We should do a short romance film where it's just like, you big city lady coming and shutting down my Christmas tree farm. Basically like 5-minute, you know, I'm sure people have done this on social media, but 5-minute Hallmark Christmas movies.
Yeah.
And then it's like, wait, you bake cookies too? Let's smooch. All right, we're getting married now. The end.
Let's kiss in a way Jesus would approve.
Yeah. Make sure closed mouth, tight lipped. Okay. We've got a couple left. Let's do Gary. And then we have one more, which is literally like a 3-minute movie.
Yeah.
Where did we get Gary from?
Gary also came to us by way of Hallow Ian, and
okay,
this was directed by the same co-director on The Need.
Mhm.
So,
okay.
Yeah, so The Need was co-directed by Hallow Ian, and I believe his name's Michael Rognlie. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
All right. Yeah, this one, I thought this was good. It was a little bit of a different take on something that we've seen pop up. Oh, I don't know when this was directed, but I've seen, similar. Even Megan has a little bit of this vibe as well. But I've seen this take of like, the Alexa or the Siri type of thing. But I think I probably saw it with a phone in the past. But it's essentially the AI app on your phone or your, in this case, kind of a smart home type of device that in this case is named Gary. And we have Mark, who's looking at a house, and he is getting the tour from the realtor, and everything seems great and blah, blah, blah. He eventually buys the house, closes the deal with the realtor, and the realtor seems to know something, but he's talking about Gary, who is, this is the absolute height of AI smart home technology. I don't know that he calls out AI, but he's calling it smart home technology. And he says, it's going to be super helpful. Don't delete the app, though, because it's really hard to reinstall. He does mention that.
Yeah.
And then as he's, pulling away, he seems to, have some sort of knowing glance that he gives back to the house. But Gary, his whole thing is, hi, I'm Gary. I'm here to help. So he says that 900 times, right? And we get Mark, who is not crazy about Gary right off the bat, but is like open to the idea of Gary and is just doing regular things around the house. And Gary keeps going like, I can help you with that. And Mark will be like, I'm good. I don't really need any help with this. And it'll be like emptying a glass, or something like that. Putting some like, he put some like of his leftover cereal at breakfast down the garbage disposal. And Gary's like, I'll help with that. And like spontaneously turns on the garbage disposal. So it starts to get a little annoying. Mark's starting to get his patience is wearing a little thin with Gary. He does get introduced to a weird neighbor who talks briefly and kind of cryptidly about the house having some sort of occult past. Where someone, and I didn't write down the name, wasn't it Abraham or something? It was some sort of very Children of the Corn sounding name.
It might have. I don't have it on hand either.
Yeah, some sort of priest or something like that. There was a mass suicide.
It's Zachariah,
Abraham. Yeah, we're in the right. Sounds like an Amish name, kind of.
Yeah.
But it happened on the property in some capacity. Gary starts to slowly become a little bit more threatening and confrontational with Mark. And then Mark has a dream about the occult ritual that the neighbor mentioned. And in this dream, there's, I'm going to say a half dozen people like kneeling in the woods. They're wearing this very like almost clown makeup.
Yeah.
White faces, like lining, like almost like, I don't know if it's red or it's glowing red in the light. But like liner around their like mouth. And they have Zachariah is kind of preaching to them, and they're all praying to Gary. He wakes up from the dream. Gary goes full ape shit, is like, you don't control the house, I control you. He goes full 2001 on him. Mark deletes the app in panic, and Gary stops. Just then, knock on the door, opens it up. It's the neighbor lady. She's got the Gary cult face paint, and she slashes his throat right on the front stoop there. So she is the, I don't know if she's the last remaining or she is part of the Gary cult that is still, operating in some capacity. And Gary's consciousness or whatever Gary is now obviously living through this AI, smart home product.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. You mentioned earlier how the realtor did not say that Gary was AI because it's probably not AI. It's probably like the consciousness of, somebody through whatever, ritual. They teleported his brain into this little black pyramid. And so he just exists and lives in his house, through occult ritual. So it's not AI because it is somebody's, spirit or consciousness.
Yeah, it is not artificial intelligence. It is Gary. It is Gary's intelligence. I thought this was a fun one as well. You knew that Gary was going to go awry. He was going to go AWOL on everybody, but the fact that it was tied to this like occult ritual, I thought was a fun little twist, and also you could think of it too as it was obviously a unique take on a haunted house as well. So
yeah, and like you mentioned, we've been seeing more and more films like this. This one's from 2021. But I believe like just recently last year, there was just a film called AI, and it was about a killer smart home. Let's see. I believe it starred John Cho and Rose Byrne, if that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds right. Yeah. I remember seeing previews for one recently. I mean, it's only going to see more and more of these, obviously, as AI becomes a bigger and bigger part of our everyday life. I do love and listen, for those of you who are new listeners, that for those of you who are old listeners, for those of you who are new, wouldn't. But Steve and I is we at that 40 level, so we are officially like old fucking grumps. So I appreciate this, but I don't know if you saw the quote by Guillermo del Toro this week when he was talking about, obviously he's got, his Frankenstein film coming out here pretty soon. And they said something to him about like using AI. And first of all, he went straight Jeff Goldblum from Jurassic Park. And he was like, they didn't think about whether they should do it, or they didn't think about whether they could do it. They should have thought about, wait, I'm butchering this quote. Something along the lines of,
get that brandy in you.
Listen. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice.
I can get fooled again.
No, didn't think of, was too busy thinking about whether they could do it, and didn't think about whether they should. He said something along those lines, and then he said, I would rather die than use generative AI.
Yeah. Which is
such an intense Guillermo del Toro thing to say.
It's so intense, but also just so real. Like it's why we love him, because he would rather employ the real artists. Like even if he is using, CGI, there is still artistry to that. Like,
of course,
it's not my favorite all the time, but there's still artistry to it. Like you do digital paintings to supplement, what used to be matte paintings, but he also builds all of those crazy fucking sets and all those wacky puppets and stand up, like, just practical effect things, little pieces of the set. So yeah, I don't know, man, he loves his monsters and he loves doing it real. And that's why we love him.
Yeah. Once again, we're firmly in the fuck AI camp because it is just, it is essentially the equivalent of stealing music on Napster, but for fucking, everything else on the planet.
Yeah.
From an art perspective, right?
Yep.
Okay. Last but not least, Steve, do you want to talk about the Connoisseur?
Yeah. Just quickly, I think I did butcher the director of Gary's last name. It is Michael Rognlie. I think I said Rognlie, and that's not right, but I believe it's Rognlie. But yeah, the Connoisseur. This one is just silly for 3 minutes, but it's just relevant to our show. We have the setup of an empty theater and a couple hoity-toity types. A small hoity-toity crowd enters this black box theater, and the only thing on stage is a spotlight illuminating a kind of fancy Art Nouveau chair with an end table, and the end table has a bottle of wine on it. And a guy in a tuxedo comes out, not wearing any pants, but he has the rest of the tuxedo on. Picks up the bottle, puts it on the chair, and then proceeds to sit on the bottle and make it disappear.
Completely disappear. Yeah.
and
it is the noise, the Foley, the noise is like, it's so gratuitous.
Yeah.
The noise, the sound effects.
Yeah, it's like completely silent. Everybody in the theater is like paying him respect as he does this. And then there's just one guy in the audience who fucking faints as he takes it all the way in. He just gets the vapors and goes down in his seat. But then he reaches into his mouth and reproduces the bottle and takes it out of his mouth the other way.
This is a full 750 milliliter wine bottle. Yeah.
One of the women in the front row, like you get these pans across the audience, and you get a whole bunch of different reactions, but there's like some people who are shocked and some people who are in horror. I love the ones who are there appreciating it and just like nodding along, like yes, keep going.
Well done, sir.
Yeah, you got it. And after he pulls the bottle out of his mouth, this one woman starts to clap, and he holds up his hand for silence, because then he describes the tasting notes of the bottle.
The entire tasting notes of dark berries and leather and all this types of ultra pretentious tasting notes about the wine for a good 25 seconds, and then just finishes with delicious. and everybody gives him a round of applause. And I said to Steve, he was like, is any of these you want to drop? And I was like, I mean, we could probably drop the Connoisseur. It's pretty dumb. And he was like, yeah, but it's got tasting notes. And we talk about beers and tasting notes and this. I was like, I get it. Yeah. But that also inspired us to, which we forgot to talk about at the top of the show, our new Patreon feature, which is we're going to stick cameras up our asses so you guys can look at our insides. I'm just kidding. But that's above the $5 tier.
Yeah. It's a new Patreon tier. If you want ass cam, you got to pay more.
You want ask him?
I just thought the short was funny because he's pulling tasting notes out of his ass essentially, and it's an aristocrat's joke.
Sure.
It's barely horror or whatever.
It's a farce. It's a Far Side comic. Essentially.
Yeah. Just this high society, element of, I'm going to rent out a theater. So everybody, because that also made me think of The Big Lebowski and how the Lebowski's landlord has that fucking, one man show that he's always bringing.
Come see my show. Yeah.
It's like along the same lines of that. And just like, he told like, this handful of people, it's probably, it's like less than 20 people show up to watch him stick a wine bottle up his ass.
Well, I also love the concession that there is a small but passionate audience for this type of thing. Like they love the ass to mouth tasting ritual of wine. Like this is a thing that this is a hyper specific hobby or obsession that they have.
Yep. Yeah.
And he's the guy. He's the guy for it. He's like the Joe DiMaggio of ass wine tasting.
Yep. He's the dude. Because I mean, he doesn't even. It's not like when he brings the bottle out, the bottle's empty. It's still full. No. It hasn't been, the label hasn't been cracked or anything. It's just, hey, by putting that up my ass and taking it out, I know what it tastes like.
Yeah, he was able to pull out the aromatics or whatever from it traveling just the bottle traveling the entire way through his and it doesn't even spill too. That's part of the joke, obviously. Yep, that is it, guys. That is an appetizing way for us to finish our fun size film exploration this evening. If you have any short films that you would suggest, because I would love to do this again in the future, and it doesn't have to be Halloween theme. Maybe we do a Christmas one or something, like, because I know there's a ton of short Christmas horror movies out there as well, a couple of which actually came from our friends who suggested movies to us. If you've got some, let us know. Shoot us an email or slide in the old DMs and let us know. And again, go give us a little review. If you discovered us this Halloween season, or even if you're a longtime listener and you keep saying, I'm going to go do that, I'll go do it eventually. Your phone is within reach. It's probably with you as you're taking a shit right now. Go to whatever podcast app you're using. Go to our show page, scroll down, and give us all the stars and write a review, because that helps us a lot. Because we get a lot of new listeners this time of year, and that'll help us out.
Yeah, you don't even have to write an actual review. Just write "Nothing gets you high like drugs," and we know what's up.
Yeah, right. Nothing gets you high like drugs, or my balls are full of pee, and we will know exactly what you're talking about. All right. Anything else, Stephen, before we wrap this up and look forward to next week's November Showdown episode?
No, I don't got anything else. I'm still just slogging through a lot of shitty horror movies as I'm trying to find the good ones for 31 Days of Recos. But like as we approach the end, I tend to backlog some of the more heavy hitters. That way I know I'm writing good stuff towards the end. But yeah.
Yep, I'm watching the Halloween movies, the Michael Myerses. I'm watching the Trick or Treats this week. I'm watching all the stuff I gotta watch every damn the Rocky Horrors of the world and that sort of stuff this week. Those are the ones I keep for the week of Halloween. So, all right, guys, have yourself a happy Halloween. Go out, eat candy, do drugs, do crimes. And just, I don't know, hail Satan.
Yeah, go hail Satan
as best you can for the Halloween season.
Yeah, go listen to me on the Force 5 podcast. Go check out the Hallow Ian Horror Hour, and go listen to Haunted Hangover with Louie. And check out subcinema.org for subversive cinema.
Subversive cinema. All right, boils and ghouls, for the Halloween is Forever crew, I'm Brian.
And I'm the last time you'll hear Spooky Steve until next year.
Oh, don't leave us, Spooky Steve.
Goodbye.
Why am I alive?
Goodbye.
Shut the fuck up.